Hold
interviewed
on.
something that.
We are live. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us again on Technology Insights with FTB. Today, we've been really looking forward to having Richard Zamora on from AI Driller. He is the COO. We have found his work to be incredible. Him and his CEO, Murat, who will be joining us later on during the show. They are really doing some incredible things in the oil and gas industry, and it's something that me personally has been very intrigued on. So getting the opportunity to speak directly with Richard and Murat is something that I think is really great, not just for the FTB community, but just to also see what technology is starting to progress in our industry and how people are utilizing it. So, Richard, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having us. It's a pleasure. We've been watching your podcast for a long time. We love you and Massiel and love what y'all are doing. And thanks for the invite.
Oh, awesome.
You know, we're doing big things when you guys come calling. So.
No, it was one thing where, not only have I just really loved the way that y'all describe your technology as far as AI Driller and just even the name of it. What I thought was really interesting is when I got to meet you and your story, Richard. So I really want to kind of people to understand like even how this even evolved into where it's at today. It really started early stages with you. You were a DD. You started working in the field early on, and you created some stuff in the field. I felt that was really pivotal on some of what your customers were doing. Can you talk a little bit about roadmaps and what you were doing as directional driller at the time and how that really came about, really bringing the operator that you were working for at the time up to speed on their drilling applications and really help with their performance?
Well, to give you a little bit of the story of the beginning of AI Driller, it was me, Murat, Joel Dunn, and Kurt Valentine, which all work for AI Driller at this point in time. So I feel like I've completed a mission in my life. We basically were working for a major operator in the Permian. This is, 2014, 15, 16. This is when, basically the shale revolution started and we started drilling these wells. We started at 45 days a well average. And our rig was at the time far ahead of everybody else in the fleet. We ended up getting down to, after about a year and a half, we got down to 12-day wells when everybody else was still drilling 30-day plus wells in the industry, really. And even for that same company, I think we had 20 rigs running or something like that. Well, the drilling manager came up to me and basically said, "Hey, Richard, how do I take you and your rig, and how do I make all my other rigs come up to y'all's level?" And he basically pitched to me an idea of doing a roadmap, and I didn't know what a roadmap was. I didn't know that it existed. I've always kind of worried about myself and what I was doing. So I'm a competitive creature by nature. I played college football and college track, indoor and outdoor, and so I've always just been a competitive guy. So it was a little different to me to kind of try to help the others around me because I didn't really ever think like that. So when he said that, I got together, and it took me maybe a week, and I made this whole roadmap of how I drill the well the way I do with all my parameters and all that kind of stuff. And they ended up rolling that out to the fleet. And believe it or not, within the first 3 months, everybody was below 20-day averages, averaging 16 days in the Delaware Basin, 13, 14 years ago. So it really did help out. So that's kind of where Murat and mostly Murat, but me, Joel, Murat, Kurt kind of came up with the idea of AI Driller, and making. At first, we started off with just automation. We wanted to automate the top drive, the rig, and we wanted to be able to slide on the rig, and we wanted to be able to rotate and do a auto rotational device. We call it the RAM and the SAM, rotation assistant module and sliding assistant module, to basically do my job on the rig. Well, as the years passed, we ended up getting a little bit of trouble, and I had to take a step back from AI Driller for 5 years due to a lawsuit and all this kind of stuff. So I took that step back, and Murat ended up coming up with the idea of making a software that was an all-inclusive software that everybody looks at. All the operators right now, they have tons of software, right? They have directional drilling, they have anti-collision, they have reporting software, they have engineering, all these softwares, right? They pay millions and millions of dollars. So he came up with the idea, hey, let's make one software for everything, for drilling, for completions, for production. Let's see how drilling affects completions. Let's get them on the same sheet of music. Let's get geosteering on the same sheet of music. Let's get directional drillers in here. Let's get company man, superintendents, drilling engineers, and vice presidents, managers, everybody in the system, and let's make it a powerful thing, right? And then let's see how that affects drilling, how drilling affects completions and production. So we're the first software to really take that on, because the softwares that are in our industry right now are kind of old and outdated. Most of them are 20 plus years old, and they're just not very efficient software. So, and they're not using 1 second data, and they don't communicate together and all that kind of stuff. So we basically took all that stuff and we just wanted to have a software that brings up everybody else and requires less people on location and stuff like that.
Well, you mentioned a lot about Marat, and I'm going to add him to the stage. I see that he is available. So yeah, here's Marat, the infamous Marat.
Marat is late.
Hello, Marat.
Late to his own funeral. I'm just letting people know that right now.
I hope so. I hope so.
Hey, Marat, thank you so much for joining us. Marat is the CEO of AI Driller, and as Richard was stating, one of the co-founders, developers of the software itself. And Marat and Richard, y'all both have done something that is very different. And you spoke, Richard, about the roadmaps, about what you were doing in the field while you were there. And that was more from a standpoint of like inputs, like you were physically putting those inputs in to create that roadmap. Now y'all have created something that is streamlined. Can you tell us what is fed into this platform? How much data? Because when you're talking about what you were doing with the roadmap and how you were able to bring down the drill time, I think about all of the things on location and all of the sensors and all of the data that you're getting on a daily basis. What are y'all doing for your platform, and how have you utilized the time that you spent in the field, Richard and Marat? And because I know, Marat, you were managing the account at that time when y'all had made these big changes in the way that they were drilling. How have you utilized what you have learned to input into this AI that has not been created before? Because AI, as we all know, is still developing. So can you explain a little bit about that and what data y'all are using?
So you want me to take this one? And I apologize to Jamie for being late on this one. Richard been asking me to come join you guys, and actually,
you're in Saudi, correct?
I just came to Saudi. I flew from Oman, and my flight got delayed, so I couldn't join the previous testing call just to make sure the connection is working, because it didn't work from the plane. Something we take for granted in the US is Wi-Fi on the planes is not existent around the world yet. So this is something to enjoy and be grateful for every time we fly in America. But yeah, so from software perspective, like a data side, like you break all the data customers have into two categories: is a low frequency and a high frequency. Low frequency will be all our emails, reports, anything we put into any structured format. From that perspective, any comments we leave, any trace of like metadata on that side, this could be invoices, tickets. That's a low frequency data from that perspective. And the high frequency is all the seconds, all the 1 second and the sub-second data coming from the sensors, from different devices, machines, from SCADA, from the rig control system on that front. So we merge it all together in AI Driller from that side. So pretty much anything on the low frequency side coming in, and anything on the high frequency side is in there. And this is one of the biggest challenges AI meeting in the industry. Like we all start using GPT everywhere we touch, and it's like everybody's dirty little secret nowadays. Like, oh, I'm using it this way, and my prompt is a little bit cooler. The problem with this approach is a little bit different, is because amount of change GPT brought to our day-to-day workflow make us believe that something changed in AI in general. The GPT world been around for like 18, 20 years, but only after like 20 billion parameters to start doing something crazy. And now it's smarter than us sometimes and just can structure data better and everything else. However, in a high frequency data perspective, there is no breakthrough, like nothing changed. You know what I mean? So from day to day perspective, we're dealing with all the GPTs and we're like, man, AI is going to take over the world. Yes, it will take over like people who, write a prompt for their LinkedIn, or like, agents will become a thing. So you can code with almost no text, right? I mean, with no knowledge of coding, you put prompts like the way you speak. From this transition perspective, we see a lot of changes. The workforce will change. But from analysis of high frequency data, automation, controls, no advantages and no advancements has been made. That's why we kind of putting ourselves in little trappers, thinking like, let's forget all the stuff we've done before and just do AI only, because we might be schooled very quickly on that front. So we're doing both, right? So we're pulling data in. Of course, we're using different aspects of analyzing the low frequency data, all the reports. We try to automate those reports with 1 second data anywhere we can. In certain roles in the industry, we do it almost 99% of decisions are automated with high frequency data. In some areas, only 80-60% could be automated because we don't have sensors everywhere. And some data like it's just, could be anything. So you still need a human to tag it and say, hey, this is my time I've been, like testing BOP, something like that. So the merger of that will work together. But from perspective of data coming in, every day we connect a new source, a new integration, or anything else from that perspective. So customers always wanted to have an ability to tie in. Like we come to the industry, like we have this saying, I'm surrounded by all the technology in my day-to-day life, and I walk into my oil and gas, like role, and I leave it all behind. And then I bring up my screen and start getting a lot of software is not even mobile friendly. Like you cannot even access them from mobile anymore. It means like if you on a soccer practice on Saturday, because drilling does not stop, right? And something needs to happen. You drop, go home, turn on your computer and do the work, or work from the car. I mean, like that's still today's aspect for many things from there. So we, slowly but surely doing step by step. Not everything could be taken. Like we see the gap is big. There is a lot of room for improvement, and a lot of times it's not a sexy like jump everywhere and apply AI and fix everything. We have so many problems that it just needs to be thorough, humble approach of every day helping somebody a little bit and then a little bit more next day.
So can they access AI Driller on their phone? You had mentioned being able to access, remotely. Is that something that y'all have availability for your customers?
Oh, in case I think 60-70%, Richard, I know the latest numbers, but of users of AI Driller access us through the phone. Because Jamie, you always promote the family lifestyle on LinkedIn and everything. I mean, you're with kids all the time, right? Especially it was a funny calls on COVID, because whole AI Driller, the way you guys know it today, it was shaped through COVID. When we almost died as a company. Like when COVID happened, like when you discuss, I know you discussed with Richard challenges of the industry. The industry lives in short time frames. Like as a startup, you don't know when you're gonna start become profitable. And but you have this industries cyclically changing. So idea like whenever it's gonna be changing and you're not profitable, you're dead, because nobody gets a new software or anything else. Like the goal of this is just to stay lean as possible, to get hit multiple times, because that cycle is going to be definitely shorter than the cycle of startup. Because build anything meaningful in the industry, that can get not waste customers' time. You don't have to develop for them and customize them. Nobody has time for that. So you're looking for like 6 to 10 years to get any like good enterprise ready system. And as industry, every 3-4 years something hits us. I mean, so that's one of the things from there. But I remember during COVID, we had to contact all the drilling managers, and they work from home. And I remember you would have kids on each shoulder, and trying to crawl around them, and We were pretending it's fine. It was a new world, and this is a time when they said, "Marat, we need something better," because this is a time where I actually felt like there is no more office, there is no more big machine, there is no more 8 screens. Like, how am I gonna work? I cannot see my guys, like everything on Teams, everything on the phone, but my data is on the computer. I mean, that was a first lesson we have to learn in the industry. And this is when we were tasked by the industry, say, "Marat, do something about it." I mean, again, that's from now is like what, 5 years every day. Trying to
Well,
Yeah,
fix
I
it.
Jamie, if it's okay, let me answer your question for you.
yeah.
The mobile app is it's pretty much an exact replica of what you see on the computer. And we live on our phones nowadays, right? So it's actually pretty cool. I've myself used it on a rig floor to slide a curve, right? So I just put the phone right in front of me. The system is projecting, telling me where I'm at, doing all the math for me every second of the day. And I'm sitting there watching my ink at bit, and I'm able to focus on sliding rather than stopping and doing a report and doing this and doing that. Everybody now could see what I was doing. They could see my projections within the organization. So they didn't have to call me and have me put the chain on the brake handle and stop sliding to be able to answer their stupid question. You know what I mean? So now it's like, now they don't have to ask the stupid question. They can just get the answer right there. But on the phone, I was literally there sliding. And then if I'm on the rig floor and I want to take pictures of my motor or take pictures of my bit before and after, like all those things, that's the world that we live in. You just take pictures of everything and it automatically uploads onto the drive. And it's stored there forever for that particular well. If you ever need to come back and look at it historically, you can look at it. Hey, we had a failure here. What happened? Oh, let's look at these pictures. Yeah, this is what happened. Cool. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how I look at it. It's pretty much an exact replica. And it's pretty amazing. I think people will probably be going to it more and more these days. And I've even had some of our operators, they actually get iPads on location. They'll bring it up there for the driller too, and he'll look at his connection times or look at the road maps or what parameters should be run, parameter comparison, whatever. That's pretty much how the mobile app is working.
So tell me, you mentioned my background, I started in drill bits, so I'm always a drill bit fan. You talked about drill bits taking photos. One of the big things that we always do at the rig side is look at the dulls. We try to see if we're missing cutters, and a lot can tell you about your drill based on how your bit comes out. How are y'all? So if I go into your platform and how is that stuff being input on? Because I remember you had showed me briefly, just even how y'all calculate and keep all of that in the system. So how would that be inputted into AI Driller?
So right now, all that stuff is basically, all the directional companies, the company man, they don't have to put an AI driller. We just get a pre and a post BHA from that directional company, and we basically strip that data and we put it in there for them. So it's like a support team thing. So nobody has to put that in there; it just automatically populates. So we're just basically on distribution reports, really easy, really simple, and intrusive to third-party companies and company men.
What have
From
you
the photos
seen?
perspective, Jamie, sorry, I'm a little delayed here. It's like Kathy is not by any means, but from photos perspective on the drill beats, so you've been drilling the beat engineer, right? So right now there is no beat engineer on location when the beat comes out, like always, like it used to be. So pretty much logistically, company man or directional driller can make a photo. But usually when the photo is made, you have a WhatsApp, you have a email, sometimes Teams channel, which is a little better way to do it, and that's it. And I did 5 years later, 5 months later, even you can't find anything. So now it's on location. Think of I'm a company man. You remember the company man is like a representative of the oil and gas company on location, and every vendor comes in, they get a login to AI Driller. Like bit engineer can upload bit picture, directional driller can type in BHA and everything else from there. But like Rich mentioned, is a change. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes to change the way we work, it's easier just to strip out the data from that perspective. But we do approach almost 60% of the personnel on the rig side, key personnel, like directional drillers, mud engineers, mud loggers, geologists, will be in the system every day from that perspective. So
So I feel like that would help a lot on just time frame. Everything when we drill, everything's about like how fast, how much time are we wasting? Have you seen reduction with your customers in just time on location, just based on little things that add up? Like I remember, Richard, you also mentioned that y'all do the daily report. So the company man doesn't have to waste the time typing out his daily report. Have you seen these things benefit the operations of the customers that are utilizing y'all's program? Richard or Murat?
Me too. Yeah, I mean, to me, there's multiple ways. I mean, first of all, having everybody in the system together, working together, communicating together, that alone saves so much time. Having automated tools like the automated reporting or the automated progs, the pad progs that we just put out, the way we have built out the well planning to be integratable with everything, with EDM files within the system. All the workflows, the automated workflows basically that alone is just saving people time. Okay. And then in terms of like the roadmaps and integrating with parameter comparison for the company man on location, allowing him to basically build within under 2 minutes a Frankenstein version of the best well he can possibly drill based off of his historical data. We generally have seen, once people get an AI driller, about a 20% increase in ROP pretty damn quickly within the first month or two. And this is reported from our operators. Like, we don't report that. We don't put it on social media or nothing like that. But that's just kind of what you asked. I feel like it's generally about 20% pretty darn quickly. And then from there, it kind of levels off. And then they get the better incremental changes based off of, newer technologies and stuff like that. But basically, it's automating people's workflow and drilling faster. You have anything else, Murat, that you can think of?
The biggest thing, like think of GPT, okay? So this is something you can touch on and feel on your own. Like, is there? It's helping you. Like, do you work less? Probably not. Do you spend less time in the office? You're one of the founders. A very successful platform. You probably work even more now because you can accomplish twice more a day. From that perspective. So. But with GPT, like you can spend time with kids more instead of like writing a big report, which like has no value from that perspective. And generally, you happier with your day-to-day life because everything is cooler. You're part of this new transition, digital transition from that perspective. And I feel like this is a lot of times it's tertiary things that will be very important because like you come from work and you're happy, like you spend more time drilling, you achieve something, it's easier to collaborate, everything transparent in the same system, nobody's trying to like cut the corners, we work on the same stuff, we're doing, it's more like you're part of the same team. That's good. It's including vendors, like vendors now as partners, like they're in the same system, they work in the same data, everybody gets access to it. I think this is one of the benefits, just be generally happier and spend time instead of on stupid things with like outside of an office, just text your wife or something like that from their perspective. And second is what we see a lot of like very high performance operators start doing is it's harder and harder for us every year to find best talent to join the industry, like find a 15-year hand like with the performance mindset to push. It's very, very hard, especially it's hard to convince them to be in Midland or convince them to be on the side. And logistically it becomes, like every year it's tougher and tougher and tougher. And more likely will be in the moment of time when, those guys won't be available anymore. And what systems like that allow is you an operator, you take one guy and split him across 5-6 rigs. And in this case, instead of this is what the main goal why AI Driller started in the first place. You mentioned like I had the experience 2016 running operation in North America for a big service company, but that experience was was very bad because we had to downsize big time and I had to fire like almost 60 people, and like 3-4 years before it, we'll hire anybody who can move.
Yeah,
like
literally a warm body is what people were asking for.
Oh yeah, ideas and us as the guys on the rig, we have to train like whoever we've been sent. An idea behind it's pretty bad because we hire everybody and then we fire at the time when nobody else hiring. And the whole goal of Agile in the first place was like, how can we do more with less so we can be more sustainable? Okay, we have less rigs right now. Who cares? I mean, I'm going to do more performance jobs, more analytics, more analysis on my end, prepare for the next set of wells in front of me, and be fine with that. I mean, instead of just like, okay, let's hire 20 more people and then fire 30 like 2 years down the road. And this is one of the main goals we actually came to the industry to fix that fluctuation and just have people genuinely happier. Plus, a lot of those guys who monitor 5-6 rigs at a time, they can do it from home today.
Mm-hmm.
And those are kind of new workflows systems like Agile will open up.
I really like your mindset, Murat, and just how you answer questions, how everything goes back to the flexibility of life in general. You're going to do better work when you have better tools, and you're going to be happier when you have happier employees, and you're going to have better performance in general. But one of the questions that we are getting that before we go to the demo, because I definitely want people to see like what the platform does and looks like. One of the questions are pretty good because they were one of the ones that I was actually going to ask, which is how can you assure accuracy of the data being inputted with many different people that have access to AI Driller? And then also, how can you ensure that the data that you're getting from the tools themselves is accurate?
You can go ahead and take that one, Rob. You can take that one.
So accuracy,
you answered the last question way better than me, so you might as well answer this one too. I'm over here thinking about money, and he's over here thinking that's why he's the CEO and I'm not.
Richard.
No, I mean from data perspective, I don't care how accurate data is. Like from a perspective of like, Agile is not the only company who is changing, right? So you have to keep in mind like all the drilling contractors like stepping up their game, like EDR providers, NOV, Payson, like every day they're working on specific things, like making the sensors better, making the aggregation better, providing those streams out. So like in terms of high frequency data, quite a bit of stuff already been done. At the same time, you as an operator, like think about like you have, let's say 10 rigs in your fleet. So every well is around, like probably 5 to 10 gigs of data like you're collecting. And you're about to deliver, I don't know, 150, 200 wells. So you're going to, at the end of the year, you're going to be at 2-3 terabytes of data. You have no idea what's in there. Our general approach is like, let's take all and then figure out later. The data does become bad, but more you can collect because as soon as well is done, you cannot retrieve this data from anywhere. And like the things like AI and everything else coming, I mean, like and automations and more data you can collect every day. This is your asset as you grow. Remember, we always used to say 2016 when big data became a thing. Our biggest asset is data, and nobody knows what to do with it. You sit on 50,000 wells and you have no idea. The next well you're planning off last 2. I mean, this is why like I genuinely don't care about like the data cleanliness, because there is many tools and practices you can do to clean it, but more completeness of it. Like that's a big issue. Like I do suggest all operators, you have to collect data from everywhere, including the like any message from the roughneck or like anybody involved on drilling who is watching the pits, who is watching the floor, any of the metadata which might be important later on, like like little mud reports, mud checks. Even if it's mistakes, it's better than nothing. I mean, like of course there is many things for validation and everything else, but generally we do have issues and it's fine. But the biggest issue when there is nothing, I mean, it's better to kind of make sense of something later than worry about accuracy. And sometimes we make it more generally is fine, I mean, and generally we'll have mistakes and sometimes recorded stuff or not much, but that's less of approach. Of course, as an operator, you want to know like how much of data, which vendor to pick. But generally, especially in the US, we don't see big issues, but completeness is a big issue across all operators, what we see today.
Yeah, and part of that is the training that we provide when we go off with these operators and we get with their vendors and all that, and we create new standards, right? New ways to look at the data and making catalogs and tool catalogs and all this stuff for the BHAs to be exact and all this kind of stuff. I would generally say that our data set is going to be much much more perfected than the current operators right now, and that's coming from them. They're wanting to feed our data into their systems and their data lakes into their system of records and stuff like that, because they know that our data right now is much more accurate, because not only do we receive the data, but we also clean the data. So AI Driller, we only have maybe close to 100 employees right now, and most of them are going to be support and developers. So that support team is working tirelessly to look through data, make sure that it's right, make sure that everything's looking good. And Marat puts them through like a 6-month boot camp, right? So these guys come in trained up like little Rangers in the special forces. They come in, and those guys, maybe some of them have been in the oil field, maybe some of them haven't. They come and they know so much more than I ever could imagine somebody who's never been on a rig site knows before. So the data quality, is right now within AI Drillers can be far superior to anything else that's out there right now. So the next steps is just how do we keep on getting it better? How do we keep on getting it better so that we can start to implement more AI tools into the system and take good data to make better tools? You know what I mean?
Before there was AI Driller, there was also, well, there still is today, of course, Corva, but Corva came, I believe, probably way early on when it came to, I don't even remember when I was in the field with doing frac and wireline, and Corva came around, and it was like mind blowing. Like it was like, oh my gosh, like this is what they're doing is incredible. And that became kind of like a standard. And like, if you're doing things, Corva's who you use, because it was a platform that was widely utilized and one of the only ones doing it at the time. Since then, it's been a few years. And I'm sure a lot of people are probably like questioning, like, how is it different? Or like, is it different? And I know that y'all focus on what y'all are doing specifically, but when you're talking to somebody about it and you're trying to show, why you would utilize one or the other, what is the differences between the platforms, and like, do they utilize the same data? Or we're getting a few questions in the comments asking about that.
Yeah, from my perspective, like Jamie,
Jamie
this
just
was my
threw a curveball. She brought up the C word.
Yeah.
No, unfortunately, this is if you go like the most popular questions asked to us, it will be one of those. For me,
I figured
I was I was 100% in your shoes, Jamie. Like 2020, like we were 30 people at the time, and we were automation startup, funded by Shell, doing all these cool things. And I started talking to the drilling manager, say, look, I need to survive. What do I do? Because there's no business. Like, we had 100 rigs in the US. It's COVID. Nobody can leave the house. And they said, Marat, go into the, aggregation of data, analytics, applications, engineering, those kind of things. And I'm like, for me at the time, I would put myself, I didn't even believe in it. And I was like you, I was like, man, there is companies out there who is already like big and they marketed themselves out and stuff like that. I said like, Corva would be one of them. And it was even more before Corva. And they like, dude, no, they don't getting it. It's, you trust me. And then they start explaining more into like where they want us to pull, because things in there and ideas for the guys like Corva, like, AI Driller will be nowhere without them. They kind of marketed the need for the operators that you have to look at data. When AI Driller comes in together, it's more like, okay, you can look at it, but you also can manipulate it. You can, use this data for your day-to-day from that perspective. But and they're still out there. There's multiple things which will be very similar. Like from analytical perspective, visual perspective, from things like engineering, planning, permitting, like all the workflows you have to do as an engineer every day. Like this, where we much more superior. We don't even compete with them in this area. We compete with Halliburtons of the world, with like Schlumbergers of the world, like drill plan, landmark systems in there. So depends on which area, right? On their front, Corva is fantastic on the frac side, like you mentioned on this front. So there is room for all the companies in there. But the biggest thing on the AI Driller, like it's your entire workflow. Like you start your day in AI Driller, you plan your wells, you do your drilling programs, you approve them, and like everything one place perspective. It's not an extra system you do for your KPI or for your visualization from their front. And my hope is that every company will be moving to that area because we do need better systems that are gonna question the 20-year-old dinosaurs, and you know what I mean, like, because the biggest problem for me is like when the companies make it, like when they become a standard, the biggest thing for us, like we have to live with our lives, but they stop caring. And this is why what like I think the biggest difference of Agile versus anybody else, like every day we care, like, you know what I mean, and it's not about, oh, we're so cool, like it's just like you have to care big enough to automate
Keep
small
evolving.
piece by
Yeah.
piece, and automate, because some companies, like I won't bring bad examples here, just not throw any like shadow on anybody, will make it almost like an industry standard, and they're like, we're gonna integrate with anybody. You know what I mean? And I'm like, you are there just because your customers trusted you to be that new thing. You know what I mean? Like they trusted you with their money, with their decisions, with their positions at the time, and you made it there, and you just like, okay, I don't care about you anymore. So you make somebody feel dumb, somebody feel like abandoned. You know, and from that perspective, that stays, because like, you know, it's like, you know, this thing, like customers only remember how you make them feel, and a lot of those companies will be like, oh, I'll make you there, but I'll stop caring afterwards. And but ideas behind, yes, I can see cool thing, excited thing, but I still have to do a million things every day besides this. So for us, our goal is like, just to show one chart for the customer, I need to buy his time, and to do it, I need to automate every little piece. And idea, biggest challenge is each operator is little different. So you have to code 3 times faster than anybody, because just to keep up with the little changes, upgrades, because it's, you know, it's we always say it's easier change software than change work process, and we stay by
Yes.
that every day. Even though like we a lot of code we write, we throw it away. We knew customer gonna switch 6 months to something else, but just to get them started, we'll get them in there. You know what I mean, from that perspective. And this is what I think the biggest difference so far. But we, to be honest, we don't even know what exactly the company's been doing. Is just because like so many requests in front, like all I see is like how to stay afloat and just make sure everybody's heard of, and you know, like we respond with the same speed as we did 5 years ago.
Yeah,
Richard, let's
I
go.
answer the question a little bit differently too, Jamie. I view the difference between us and any of our competitors, and not just them, is the people. Just like we talked beforehand, I told you what's the difference between you and other podcasts? You,
Us,
the
yes.
way you guys are, the way you love fighting for women's rights and equality, and the oil and gas industry and all that stuff, and your passion, right? So that comes out in us. I've had too many people tell me, hey, we picked you guys because we love who you guys are. We like the way you talk. We love that every single person that's on your team is 15 plus year, either directional driller, company man, drilling engineer. You guys have been in the trenches with us. You guys can talk with us, y'all know, and our competitors don't have that. I don't care who it is. We come with a different level, a different intensity, and a different love for the industry. And that to me is just the difference. It's just us, right? It's not a knock on them. They are who they are, and we are who we are. But like I said, we live, eat, breathe this, and I don't feel like anybody else does that. That's the biggest change, and we'll never be a big corporate type of company.
Can we dive into the demo? I'd love to show our viewers what it looks like, and like kind of talk about some of that. Is it ready if I bring it on, Richard?
Yes, ma'am.
Cool.
Yeah, and I'm not going to go through a full demo. I'm like Willy Wonka in this. I'm not going to be showing you all my secrets, but I will show you a couple little things. We've talked about some of the automation, so I wanted to kind of show you guys automating of reports. This is some of the reports that are fully automated. No man puts in this report. No company man. The company man now can take this and either copy and paste in his current system, or if they're using us as their system of record, they can just use this, right? So all this and all these parameters and every stage and phase of what's going on is done by AI driller, not a man. So again, automating somebody's mundane job and taking 3 or 4 hours out of their day just to write something and this guy's making $2,500 a day is a waste of time and is ridiculous, right? It's not just about saving money or time. It's also about work-life quality, right? So now that guy can be on the rig floor more or pay attention to the pits or safety or whatever it is, he can do more of that than these little tasks. So I kind of wanted to show the automated reporting because nobody has that. I know people say that, but I challenge anybody on this chat right now. Where are you having your daily journal written for you by a robot and it be accurate every day of your job? Well, AI Driller does that today. This is proof. Okay.
I'd love to know if anybody watching this right now has a comment about that, because I thought that was pretty neat. And I do recall many times on the rig when company man was like, I'm busy, I'm writing my report, I got to get to my report, I can't talk about it. And so I was left having to either wait or just pick up the bit and leave and then come back the next day to try to get the feedback or the bit record from him or whatever it was, because he was busy writing his report. So I think that's a very true scenario that happens in the field.
Well, actually now we can, since this is a fully permission-based system, I can give you access and you can come in here and you can see all the run statistics and you don't have to ask anybody or waste anybody's time. So this is another fully automated report. This is what a directional driller does on a day-to-day basis for a slide sheet. So when he slides, when he rotates, what the tool face was, how effective the tool face was, where he slid, what differential, what parameters he's running. All this is fully automated. Nobody touches this. You can't even edit it if you wanted to, because we want full transparency. So that's just a couple examples of the daily reporting. But like you said, that you come and you need to see a run summary as a bit vendor or a motor vendor, it's all in here. Everything's in here. Every single parameter that you'd ever need, and it's all fully automated, and nobody has to put any of this stuff in here.
When you say
Jamie,
permission, go ahead, Murat.
Remember the question you asked about what the data accuracy? Like when I said completeness is important, like when it comes out of AI Driller, we take all our data that it can go tomorrow to quarterlies, because a lot of customers will use us for quarterly reporting. Every foot has to count. So we take serious approach from there. And what Richard is showing you from that perspective is the data inside the run summaries and everything else becomes our automated field ticketing. So like in this case, you don't have to ask anybody anymore for final report or final anything. This is how accurate we want that data to be completely used on invoice. This is how level of accuracy we want to apply on any outputs from us, at least for those like you use in your contracting or use for your quarterlies or any public presentations of the company on that front. So we'll take a lot of focus on that and improvements of this data. And we still want a lot of raw data with the comments and mistakes. We still want that too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then some of the other cool things, all of our the reporting is automated. So again, we talk about the company man, we talk about directional drillers, whoever. I can basically come in here and make any report that we have in a system. I can make a report and I can tell it who I want it to go to, what time of the day I want it sent, and so nobody has to worry about daily reporting anymore. So if a company man, directional driller, MWD has a morning report they have to send out every day, they can spend they don't have to spend any time. They come in here, they just say I want it to send every day at 6 a.m. and boom, magically it sends off to the whole recipient list, and it's just easy, right? Another automated workflow. Another one of the automated workflows that saves customers from having catastrophic events, I always like to show people is our alerts, right? So you can subscribe to any alert, like if you're getting close to a hard line or anti-collision alert, or if you're getting too high of a dog leg or too low, or you're getting off the line. If you're having a washout and your drill pipe's washing out, we have all algorithm-based alerts that will notify people, send it to them on the app on their phone. Like let's say a company man is eating lunch inside of his trailer or on the rig floor on the pit somewhere, he can just come up on his phone. It's going to send him a text message and say, hey, you just had a motor stall, or you just had a washout, or your bit's getting damaged. Whatever it is, he can get this alert on here. And that to me is big time. Like that alone, those alerts alone will pay for the system itself. Guaranteed for every operator. We have saved hundreds and hundreds of washouts over the last 3 to 4 years. So that's the alerting. I'll skip right over here. We have dashboards. You can kind of create your own dashboards. So like, let's say you're drilling a curve, or I made this one. This is my Richard's tripping dashboard. So whenever a company is tripping out of hole, I like to have some tripping stuff with some tripping statistics, and because they can't. Looking at pace on, if you're a company man or you're a driller or a drilling engineer, and all you're looking at is a pace on view of a time and depth log, you're missing out. there is so many different ways to look at tripping in and tripping out and drilling a curve or an intermediate or a lateral. There are so many ways to look at the data now with all these tools that we have that we're inventing every single day. And that we're also training our operators to look and think differently, because they've been looking at this little screen, the same screen for their whole entire careers. But it's working, and people are seeing changes, and that's why they're loving the system. So some of the other things we do, we save people time, is we have like the fully automated engineering. So this is like a engineering, torque and drag modeling, hydraulics modeling, ECD, all that kind of stuff. We're basically doing this for the operator, and now they don't have to do that anymore. And the company man can also tie into this, look into this, and use this real time when they're tripping in and out of the hole to see if they're pulling in the tight spots, or they're having well-borne stability, or whatever the situation is. Now they're able to stop catastrophic events before it ever happens. And like, that's something that you don't just really, that's not a quantifiable thing. You think an operator tells me every time that they were able to save pulling in and out of a hole, getting stuck or something, or well-borne stability every single time. No, it's not quantifiable, but that communication of working together all on the same platform is valuable. And then also, just to let you know, our system is fully integrated. We can integrate our API with any company. We want to work with everybody. We're fully agnostic. So if somebody likes their engineering model they're using for another company, they can use it, and we can just visualize it on here. If they want to use their own system of record, make their own daily report, or their own directional drilling software, or this or that, or their own KPIs, they can use their own software that they're using. But AI Driller still puts them on the same platform most of the time. The last thing I'll kind of show is our business intelligence. This right here is what Murat was talking about. It's the most advanced business intelligence on the planet right now for drilling completions. You can basically come in here, use some of our AI to come and see what every rig state is happening on a rig, and find out like, hey, why is this rig drilling slower or faster than another rig? You know what I mean? And really break it down and go in there, look at the parameters, and look at everything in seconds. Like literally, I can take right now, I can come in here and take 200 wells in an area, and I can compare it within seconds. It pops out the answer of what weight on bits are run, what this was run, what that was run, you know, how long you're spending circulating, why are you spending so much time circulating, stuff like that. So that's it for the demo. I didn't want to go too much into it, but if y'all have any questions, let me know.
What do you have like the most requests from your customers of like what they want to see? Do you, or what, because I know Murat mentioned like having to probably build out specific platforms for each customer is probably different. Is there a synergy that you see, or like consistency that you see that each customer wants to view?
The answer is it depends, right? So like there is definitely much more consistency of drilling. Like whether you drill well in Kuwait, Saudi, America, there is constant challenges. It's just based on the geology and the rock you're drilling. Yeah, one challenge is more than other, and it's with the maturity of the reservoir, it becomes the challenges change on you dynamically. Give you perspective of that. Like if you go to Midland Basin and try to drill with 2014, 2016, that's a cookie cutter. You just go and you drill. It's very, very fast. And nowadays, like wells, especially like Woodford area, the Permian Basin, like Wolf Camps in Delaware, that's a tough well to drill. Is not anymore cookie cutter. We have waterfalls. We have we have a lot of challenges running casing, a lot of challenges drilling to it. Could change from count to count because we've been drilling and fracking so many wells in the last 10 years. So like when you ask like Murat, what's cool, like what makes you guys up at night, and for me, it's like as an engineer, if you become engineer 10 years ago in Permian Basin, there is a big chance you never run engineering scenario in your life. And it's not make you bad engineer, it's just it was not part of your workflow. Your goal as a project manager to drill 2-3 rigs at a time, make sure everybody's safe, make sure you keep up with the operation and sufficient. Nowadays, like the formation is different, right? You have to do engineering, you have to do tripping schedules. And for a lot of the engineers right now in the Permian specifically, like we are the first software they learn how to build their own tripping schedule, how to build their own engineering. What Richard's showing you, like a visual part is great, but I can plan my 15K well, 15K lateral in the system. I can plan my 25K lateral. If my management asks me a question of like, can I slide at 20,000 lateral? Yeah, I do have like a oscillation engineering. I can do full any answer I need, even without data, I have it in the system from that perspective.
Mhm.
And those kind of things, like what, you know, the guys asking what difference is, like, yeah, you have full engineering package, and we calibrate a lot with real-time data now, getting it better every day from that perspective. And there's many little things coming under the sleeve. So in drilling, I would say it's very common challenges. It's just somebody have them bigger than others. A lot of customization common, like stack pipes. Like idea, like the nature of stack pipe could be very different. Some challenges you cannot answer with data. You have to go to engineering and design, because you know, like this is your answer to it, not, you know, like going faster or slower through this area. You will get stuck if your mud is not what needs to be, and then your whole cleaning procedure is different. So this is why you have to have a system which is more than just visualization of data to get to that answer. And this is one of the biggest things. But on completions, like you mentioned, the completion side, that's very interesting. This is one of the first company we start getting into completion game 2023, and you know, it's a new field. What do we want? What do we want to see? What do we want to look at? What's important? What's not? You know, I mean, and I would say like almost every operator have a different idea what they're looking for, and they're very successful. Like some guys just work on the chemistry and make sure it's, you know, it's a very good cheap recipe, and that helps them to be, you know, like ahead of the competition. Some operators focus on you know, KPIs and make sure I can do with 2-3 fleets of frac, you know, all my wells, and I keep up with my plan, and they still consistent side. So I would say completion is still newer field, so we can see more and more kind of interest and ideas. It's very exciting to be there. But on drilling,
I think I was going to say on completions, I think some of the biggest differences is really that you have a better understanding of where you are in the well, because it's all cased. It's not like you're going into rock and trying, like the well's already drilled. So the challenges are different, I would think, when you're looking at frac and pumping, and because even when you look at plugs, like, you know what you're drilling through versus when you're drilling rock. Like, yes, in theory we know what rock we're drilling through, but you know, that still can become challenging depending on what area you're in. So I do think it brings on
completions.
I sold a bunch of different equipment in completions.
Yeah, so this is you're part of the group of operations. This is what they care about. Like, I don't care about my rock. I want to drill the plug. I don't want to get stuck.
Yeah.
We also have like because completions is that bridge. Like I joined drilling from production, so I finished my master's in reservoir engineering, and then Schlumberger was like, "Do you want to do drilling?" I'm like, "Okay." So I joined the drilling side. Production is like it's like a magic, you know what I mean, on there. Like, I'm getting something out of it. There is a lot of probabilistic approaches and everything else from that side. So data is not direct science, even though an unconventional is more scientific nowadays. So you look at decline graph analysis, you do some sort of like mathematical forecasting, but it's still like there is more magic happening there. On drilling is pure science, right? We're drilling through, and there's a full analysis of that. Completions is right in the middle. It can be very scientific and like drilling approach, like you said, like, I want just to go out there and drill, and I don't want to have any NPT between my stages. I want to maximize number of stages, number of pumping hours. That's one area. Or you can also go very scientific. I want to frac less stages. I want to maximize my reservoir performance. I want to tie into the best positions on geosteering side. So like, you know, that portion of completions, and this is why I would say like everybody has different idea. I do think like completions overall, it's a fascinating path to even to get to production on that front. You know what I mean? Like, but as I said, like different backgrounds of people think very differently. Like some of the completion engineers, they think of what it takes to break my rock. We just came from your tag. The guys looking at different frequencies, how my rock responds to my pumping on surface. So everybody's still looking at different things, which is exciting. Nobody knows what's gonna bring the maximum value overall, but it's damn exciting to be part of that discussion and putting some data together without knowing what it's gonna do. You know what I mean, from that perspective.
And I also say the other side of things, Jamie, is not just the operator. It's the people using it, right? Every different position that's in the system using the system needs it for something else, right? Like a directional driller or directional drilling company might not care about 90% of the stuff in here. You know what I mean? But they care about this, and that, right? So it's a lot of it is by position as well. A drilling engineer cares about drilling as well, all that kind of stuff. But we do have directional companies in here. They use this system as well for their own, and because there are some companies they want to be better at showing their data and showing how fast they are, why they're different, and kind of separating themselves. So there's lots of different ways to use it, not just on the operator side, but every operator has their own different challenges. Some operators are better at other things than other operators. So it's just different by operator, in my opinion.
Before we close, I do want to make sure that the audience knows, like, how many rigs are all on? What locations? Are you global? Are you operating globally? Where have you seen the biggest value as far as, is it mainly US, or are you also doing things international?
We all over from Australia to Alaska right now. In fact, Richard covers our US operations. I'm mostly overseas nowadays. And, drilling is drilling, right? It's a value everywhere. You just need to go find it and train more guys. And, it's same approach we use. Like we don't take approach like, oh, this country is a little bit different, this guy different. We just come with a passion and try to, change the way things are done. And it's going to be different workflow in each customer. From that perspective, we prepared for that. But overall is I would say like more and more exciting like stuff. Like most wells in the US nowadays is not easy to drill on that front, and same as overseas. So we come to the area of like the easy wells are not there anymore. And there is not many engineers who can do a lot of things. So now as an engineer, you cover 2-3 rigs at a time. Instead of 3 wells a year, you cover 30, 50 easy, you know what I mean? And we're just trying to be there with them as a support to make sure they can build the programs
I
fast.
feel like I'm in a presidential debate. We got 140 rigs here in the States.
Richard.
We have Alaska, the lower 48. We have Eastern Malaysia. We have the Middle East, several places in the Middle East right now. Australia. So we are global right now. We have expanded within the last 3.5 years. We went from pretty much 0 commercial rigs to, I think we're closing in on 300 right now, commercial. So that's where we're at. We're growing fast, but not too fast. We're trying to be responsible with everything we do. We don't have salespeople, so we don't go off and sell across the world. People will eventually hear and give us the call. And but yeah, we're global. We're offshore, on land, Alaska, doing some cool stuff.
And so where can people find y'all? So I can make sure that through the chat, I can also put y'all's LinkedIn and information when we finish here. But I want to make sure that if anybody has questions for you, can they email you directly? Is there a certain form that you want me to send them to? What's the best course of action?
I'd say they can email me. It's Richard at AI Driller or Marat at AI Driller. We have pretty simple emails here right now. They can hit us up on LinkedIn anytime. If you give that out, we got aidriller.com is our website. They can hit us up on there. We have a chat and all that kind of stuff. So
awesome. And are there any conferences y'all are going to be at that some people can meet you in person?
I don't know, Marat.
Again?
Any conferences?
What conferences are we going to? I know this year, I don't know if we're going to the what is it? The SPEA TCE?
No, I told the team like we get a big jump last year, and we have a lot to talk about good things as a CEO you can receive. And when I receive like message from customer, Marat, you start doing more marketing than focusing on me. This when I called the team. I said, "Halas, we stopping any marketing and we're going back to the field." And we do it twice a month nowadays. And ideas behind we've done your tech this year, but unfortunately, what we see a lot in the industry, the conferences are dying off. We see challenges with the SPEs and everything else. So with that, we talking to Richard and the team, like we want to help the conferences to be alive and be there, just to kind of support them in. But it's just from time perspective, like we try to be very picky where we're at, and we'll probably still support all the SPE conferences and IDC conferences, just just more on support side, but the main goal, we're not planning or pre-marketing anything. Is just more like focusing on local markets where we're at, and focus on customers from their perspective.
Great. I think that's a smart choice. I think focusing on your customer is important. And you had there's a lot of great comments just stating how great you guys are, how much they enjoy working with you. So I think what y'all are doing is definitely transformational, and they do feel your passion. This is my first time to speak with you, Murat, and I love your energy. And of course, Richard's awesome. I think both of y'all make a great team. And I definitely I love seeing founders and like those who operate at an executive level that are so different too, and just the way that y'all both interact. And I think it's great because that's what makes such a great company. So thank you both for joining today. We're at our hour mark. This was a great live event. Really appreciate it. Appreciate all the insights that y'all shared with us and the detail on AI Driller. I know for me, it was very informative and something I'd never seen before. So I really appreciate the demo and y'all's time today. So thank you.
Thanks so much, Jamie.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody, for joining, and stay in the comments
so much for
their emails. Yeah, thank you for the questions. We'll see you at the next one.
Thanks, guys.